Hello, everyone, and welcome to season 2 of All About Data podcast. We are so excited to launch our season 2 of this amazing podcast, all about data science, data analytics, artificial intelligence, machine learning, statistics, and more. So, the first episode today is how you can create a data scientist or data analyst project portfolio and the importance of having a portfolio to showcase your work. So, my name is Angelica Spratley. I hold a master's of science in analytics. I also am an amazing educator, content creator, mentor, coach. The list goes on and on. And
One and all.
also, with similar accolades, I have my co host here, Dr. Yuona.
Hello, everyone. So glad to be doing this again and always excited to be co-hosting with Jelly and talking about the thing that we love the most, data science, data analytics, everything data, and sharing with you all of the stuff that we have learned and are still learning over the course of our career. So definitely good to be here.
Yeah, so we're just going to start right in with the question. So, Dr. Yuona, can you explain to our audience why it is important to have a data science or data analytics portfolio while they're going through their job search?
Yeah, so working with students, teaching, mentoring, and even collaborating with our students, we've realized that there are certain things that are definitely a plus when it comes to helping you along the way as far as the job search is concerned. And we come to the consensus that a portfolio is a must for any data savvy data analyst, data enthusiast, any person in that field, right? Because having a resume is one thing where you can list, the skills and knowledge and certificates and all that. But a portfolio is what allows you to provide that tangible evidence of your application of those skills in a real world project. And not just that, it allows you to showcase your technical skills, but also some of the other skills like in problem solving and communicating technical information to a non-technical audience. So those are invaluable, and being able to do that in a portfolio, there's nothing else like it.
Yeah, actions speak louder than words, right? We all have heard that saying. So demonstrating your action, right, through a portfolio that you understand some of these models, you understand exploratory data analysis, you understand how to operate version control systems. All of those things are crucial to landing a job in the data world.
Yeah, and I'm sure you, Jelly, have come across instances where you saw the benefits of a portfolio for your students. And what are some of the things that you tell them as to why they need a portfolio as it relates to their areas of interest?
Yeah, so I would say me holding a master's in analytics, we were fortunate enough to do a employer project throughout the whole 10 months of our program. And that employer project helped me answer tons of technical interview questions and actually allowed the interviewee to have something to talk about. So they look on the resume, hey, I see you worked on this project. Can you tell me more about it? And I was able to tell them a lot about it that ended up answering a lot of the technical questions they already had, right? So wasn't caught off guard about, okay, well, can you tell me hypothesis testing? Can you tell me how you created your R Shiny app with visuals? Can you tell me about your survival analytics model, right? Because I already gave them that information up front with a project. So it really made the interview process go smoothly. So now being an educator and encouraging my students to make project portfolios, I tell them find a place to host it on, right? So a portfolio can be your blogs that you create that is talking about technical concepts, right? So some people love to express themselves through written language. It can also be their own website. Some people love to create their own website. And now with a lot of AI tools out here that helps you generate awesome website templates, that is a good way to go. Some people love to have data visualization portfolios, either on things like Tableau Public. And I also encourage them to turn their resume into a dashboard, right? Make your resume showcase that
Yes,
technical
yes, yes.
ability that you can be a BI analyst, right? And then, of course, GitHub. GitHub is a social networking website for all projects, understanding and learning GitHub, creating those great README files, along with a recording of them presenting work. All of those things stand out in employers.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the great things about the portfolio, it allows for you to, set yourself apart, to distinguish yourself from the millions of other job searchers out there, because you can, along with, some of the regular projects, the very familiar one, the data sets that everyone is using, you can now have a special project that is of interest to you, that you have some connection with or some passion for. And so you can then showcase that. And employers always like to see that you're not just doing the regular thing that all the others are doing, but here it is that you have a special project, like, whether it's analyzing your own personal data or, sports data, whatever it is you feel passionate about, because that way you can use that to combine all of the technology that's available with your passion, and then showcase that for you, data science is not just a means to an end in terms of finding a job, but it's something that you are really feel strongly about and you enjoy doing. So that's a really good thing to do.
Yeah, passion speaks volumes. So that's a nice segue, Dr. Yuana, for you to talk about how they can express this passion and how they can talk about these projects during an actual interview.
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? Because when you have created a portfolio of your projects, then you can talk specifics, right? It's one thing to know what is the describe the difference between supervised and unsupervised learning, or to answer questions about what kind of test you would use under this circumstance. But when you can talk specifically about your projects, meaning you have done the work, you've gotten your hands dirty, as it were, in every phase of the project, from the data acquisition to the data cleaning and mining to building and testing and optimizing the models, then you also will be able to answer questions in terms of what are some of the problems you encountered and how did you go about solving it. Those are the things that the employers or prospective employers want to know, because they know that there's no data science project that just works smoothly like they do in, say, a course or data camp, boot camp. In the real world, there are going to be problems, and they need to know that you are a problem solver first and foremost. And nothing speaks to that more than when you can talk about what you did, not what you read or what you heard or what you saw someone else do, but what you yourself did. And so that is a huge advantage in terms of creating and crafting your portfolio.
Yeah, and I would say I think a lot of people are shocked to know, but one of the projects that landed me my first job was actually a group project, right? And I automatically start talking about that project at that question, tell me more about yourself, right? So I let them know, hey, currently I'm a student pursuing a master's degree in analytics. Previous, I was a high school engineering teacher, and that gave me some passion about how I use data in teaching. And that use of data in teaching made me want to expand my knowledge by obtaining a master's. And then from that, I was able to say, currently, I'm working on a project on a team, and I have the roles of being Scrum Master as well as having some technical expertise. So during Scrum Master assignments, I'm able to plan the project out from backwards onto the front. So I break down all of our sprints, I assign the task, I let us know when we're on target, off target. And then outside of that, I'm able to do some technical vetting. So we created some models. The models were able to predict substance abuse relapse. This is how the models were prepared. And from there, we were able to give some insights together as a team. And so you cover a lot of bases in that tell me about yourself question. If you dive straight into what was the most recent project you have done, like Dr. Yona said, what was your contribution to that project? and how that contribution relates to the role that you're currently applying to. So I love to come with it out the gate because it really offsets some of the other questions that they were thinking about asking you, because then they're getting so intrigued by your project, right? So it's all like,
Mhm.
I know if they did this project, no need for me to ask, can you explain the bias variance trade-off? Because they just told me in the project they did modeling and they assumed that testing the model was the bias variance trade-off, right? So it kind of limits some of those questions that you may not be prepared for because you're talking about something that you actually done that you're passionate about.
Right. And so you're not just kind of repeating, like I said, something that you memorized, but you're actually talking about something that you have had experience with, and therefore you have some connection to. Because when you are applying for a job, it's known that you're going to have to learn things, and you're going to have to go through some kind of orientation and a period of getting used to the different tools and techniques that are that the company uses. But what they want to see is that you are someone who is deliberate in terms of you take the initiative to learn and to take responsibility for certain aspects of the project, and you recognize what skills you already have and what may be needed, and where you can either engage the team members or actually acquire those skills for yourself. And so a portfolio project allows you to do all of that. And one of the things that I know Jelly has been really focused in on a lot is in terms of the ML ops, going outside and beyond just the model creation generation, and in terms of more extension to the implementation and the monitoring and all of that of these models as they're actually being used in the real world. And for me, with my background as scientist, data scientist, coming from the statistics world, that this whole idea of incremental changes, I think it's not emphasized enough in a lot of the training programs. And so with your portfolio, you get a chance to then acquire or include some of the skills that may not have been a part of your training prior to that, right? So now you can use the projects to go in further in some area that you may like, that you may feel of interest to you. So you can choose whether you want to specialize in data visualization, or you may want to specialize in, say, unsupervised learning techniques. And, so that allows you to do that now that you have that freedom. It's all up to you in terms of what you can and cannot do. But Jelly, tell us some more about some of the skills that working on a portfolio project can help you develop. I
Yeah.
know you
So
mentioned working with a team and exploring, but what are some of the other skills that may be overlooked?
yeah. And so I think we have highlighted a lot in this podcast, but definitely those communication skills. So Dr. Yona came out the gate having the ability to explain technical concepts to non-technical audiences is very important. And you can do that right within your README file, right? On GitHub, which is a nice summary of your entire project, because you start with a business understanding. So it showcases that you know the importance of domain expertise or having some type of business knowledge. You can showcase the data overview that shows that you actually looked at the data, you've explored the data. So it enhances those exploratory data analytics skills down to your overall final modeling. So it helps you explain your model in a non-technical way and what are the insights from your model. So it gives you that critical thinking and that solutions oriented skill that you can then provide recommendations to your business problem on how you would solve it. And so being able to be solutions oriented, being able to have those good written skills, as well as showcasing the verbal skills through a recording of you going through a slide deck, right? It's also something that you can actually push to your portfolio that I highly recommend people do, is to create a nice little slide deck, showcase you walking through the slide deck, or showcase yourself actually walking through your notebook and explaining your analysis that you have done. That also showcase a lot of skills for your ability to work with different stakeholders that you're going to encounter in the industry, right? And as well as the technology itself. So if you're showcasing a skill on Tableau Public, then they know that you know how to work Tableau. If you're showcasing a skill on GitHub, then they know that you know how to utilize a version control system, right? So the technology skills also enhances as well as those professional skills. And not only can it do that, it can help you create your brand. So I'm going to bounce it back over to Dr. Yuona to talk about the importance of how the portfolio can showcase your brand.
Yes, and you were the one who at first like had me start thinking in terms of brand and brand, because you always emphasize to your students about, getting online intentionally and interacting, whether it's on LinkedIn or on your blog, about that whole branding of yourself, and taking charge of that, being seen as someone who is a thinker, innovator, and it doesn't have to be anything grand or anything, super technical. But in terms of your interaction online, being intentional in terms of how you comment on certain posts in LinkedIn, what you reshare, what kind of insight you provide, so that you're communicating the idea that you are someone in this space, in this area of this technology, data science, machine learning, whatever, who is learning actively and actively engaged in the process. And so with your portfolio, allows you to go beyond, say, just the comment or the blog or any short pieces of content. Now you can really do a deep dive and showcase that you are, whatever it is you choose to focus in on, that you have learned as much as you can, and you've gone beyond what everybody else knows. And so you've become a little bit of a specialist in your own area, right? Whatever that may be. And so having the portfolio, it allows you to do that. And so when the employer or the hiring manager now is interviewing you, you have to think about it. For them, they're interviewing several people, and they kind of have to ask the same questions. But if you come in with a portfolio that is interesting, now they can ask different questions, and they can share, and they can even learn from you some things, right? And that's always a plus, because they want to know that the person that they are going to bring on their team, one, is knowledgeable, is competent, is willing to learn, as well as is able to make a contribution, whatever that area of specialty that you may have. But also, even if you may not be, have experience specific to the company, team, whatever, they recognize this person is going to do whatever it takes. It's going to learn, is going to get involved, and it's going to be engaged, and it's maybe even going to share, on various platforms online, which is always a plus for companies, right? Because they always want to have that good reputation. And if they see you as someone who can potentially help them with that, then that puts you ahead of some of the other candidates.
Yeah.
So having a portfolio is invaluable. We encourage that all the time.
Yeah, and it's play on your unique experiences, right? I tell students come from all walks of life. Say, for instance, you are a former nutritionist and you want to be a data analyst or data scientist, and you have a portfolio that is dealing with recommendation systems on what nutritious food to offer people in meal plans, or you have a project that is talking about identifying organic produce, right? And you have a Tableau dashboard that is showcasing your nutrition app and your nutrition across time. And then you also have a blog talking about nutritionists meets data scientists, right? Now that is your brand, right? And so on LinkedIn, you have the projects that showcasing your passion. You have written about your passion. You have some good visualizations that utilize your own meal prep data. And now you want to apply for a job that is all about nutrition and data sciences. I mean, what other better way to have your brand? And maybe it's something similar with sports, right? Maybe you love playing basketball, and Dr. Yuona also loves doing March Madness brackets, right? So maybe you have did a project about predicting the outcome of who's going to win the NCAA, and maybe you have been doing your basketball workouts and took some of your data from that and created a visualization. And maybe you have talked about the importance of predictive modeling and traumatic brain injuries, right?
Mhm.
That athletes can experience, and you have posted that. Now you have your brand that you are passionate about sports as well as data. And the same thing that if you're coming from the finance sector, maybe you have invested in cryptocurrency or stocks, and you do a project about time series forecasting of stock. And then you also try to create your own visualizations from your own stock investments and made your own portfolio, or you did a recommendation system of a finance portfolio for yourself. And then you also had a blog that talked about finance meets data scientists. There you go. That is your brand. So that is what we're talking about when it comes to branding yourself.
Yeah, and I just, as you were talking, it reminded me of one of Data Camp, shout out to Data Camp's online seminar. And one of the speakers was this young lady who she started using Tableau, just learning online, and she created a dashboard using the World Health Organization data, and they reached out to her, and now she works for the organization, right? And so that's a great way that she was able to leverage her skills as well as her passion into a job. And now she's actually talks about how that happened and help to encourage others to do the same. And so both Jelly and I, we have our data science projects that we do, and then we have the things that we are passionate about, like we with sports, or even some of the healthcare data and apps that I work on. And I know Jelly, she has like, I can't even keep count of how many different interests that she has, because something that maybe some of you may not know, Jelly used to be a high school computer science teacher at one point. So there's just so much to her, and so she combines all of those in really, really interesting and meaningful ways. And so we encourage others to do the same. And I don't know if I'm supposed to say this here, but we are, Jelly and I, working on an actual course outline that is a course that will help you build your own portfolio. Right, so we're combining all that we've learned and how we've mentored students in the past, and what we think are some of the important things that, and how you go about building your portfolio, because a lot of people you may want to do that but may not be sure about how to go about it. So we're going to combine our expertise as well as those of others that we know, and put together a course that will then guide you into creating a killer portfolio for your online presence and your brand self-branding. So I'm
Yeah.
excited about that.
Yeah, we're definitely excited to bring out more than just our podcast. That is another piece of a portfolio. You can start your own podcast, right? So that is a representation of Dr. Yuona and I. We decided to be abstract and just create our own podcast, having these lively discussions. But that was our final question for today. So in summary, go out there. Actions speak louder than words. Demonstrate your technical abilities in actions through powerful portfolios. There are tons of platforms out here that help you showcase your portfolio, whether you want to showcase it in blog format, whether you want to showcase it in podcast format, whether you want to showcase it in data visualization, dashboarding format, or just regular technical projects on social media sites such GitHubs. All of those are great projects. It gives you something to discuss in interviews and allow the interviewer to really assess your passion, which is great. It also allows you to acquire some of these professional skills such as collaboration, written communication skills, as well as presenting skills. And it's overall a great way to get your foot into your next new data role that I know that you strive to have. So we thank
Absolutely. And
you.
our course will contain all of the resources that you will need to not just get you started, but go all the way. And there are probably opportunities for us to mentor you and all that great stuff. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, we're excited, and definitely always reach out to us via LinkedIn, Dr. Yuona Thiessen, as well as Angelica Spratly. Thank you all for tuning in to our first episode of season 2 of the All About Data podcast. We will see you on episode number 2. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye bye.